Well, looky there. Is that you guys? Well, hey, we're back. And as you can tell, we're getting into some stuff. So let's get this front end tore apart. We all got all the stuff to put it back together, so let's start there. Oh, hey. I make a lot of noise getting up and down. You guys don't know that by now. See what we can get into. So when this comes off here, what we got to do, we got to put those big old pockets in this lower control arm. That's where the airbag sits. Then they got these big old pads that we've got to put on this. We've got to drill this and put those on. And the airbag sits in between these two. Blows up and goes down, okay? We've got new uppers. So all we got to do is spin these two great big bolts off and get this out of here, okay? We're not even going to break this spindle off there. We're going to pull our rotor off, our backing plate. We're going to get all the room we need. So that's the plan, Stan. Let's get started. Hope you guys are having a pretty good day. This should be a fast and easy process. Well, I said that before too. I said that on that C notch. Remember that? I said twice. I was like, yeah, I'll be done by this afternoon. 2 days later, I'm buttoning it up. But it is what it is. I don't know what happened with all the video stuff going kind of crazy, but I mean, that is what it is too. I'll get it all figured out as we go, I reckon. Ain't gonna stop me. Remember, we already had all this off. Remember I said loose bolt it, because we're gonna be taking it all right back off. And that's the reason why right there. Bam! Makes it easy breezy cheesy. Let me throw this back in here. Let me throw that washer back on now. Our nut and our dust cap. Bam! That's out of the way. Woo, she's full of power. Oh, she has a power. That goes on top of that. We'll put the base in there. Bam! That's where we want it to be. Let's see about this old pesky cotter pin. See if we can get her out of there. We got to get this tie rod end off and do that brake bracket right there. And the rest, if you remember before, we already got all this kind of ready. Remember that screwdriver I was telling you about for cotter pins? There she is. Look at that, like a champ. Get in your home. Oh yeah, come on out of there. Just like that. She's out. Castle nut, come off there. There's probably no reason for you guys to watch this. I know it's pretty exciting. I've tried to do some videos where I can do it and then fast forward it. They never seem to really work out. I'll either lose the video or lose all audio. We're gonna put that castle nut back on there so that we can beat this without tearing our threads up. Because if we can, it's not bad. But if I gotta put a new one on there, it's just tie rod in. I'll put one on there. Let me grab the camera. I'm gonna get this turned off for you guys. There's no need for you guys to watch this. But hey, welcome back, man. Let's get this front end done. All right, guys, let's talk about this for just a second. All right, so these are my plates from GSI. This is the older brand, but all right, so if I'm looking at this thing is here and it curves down, okay? If you're looking at the bottom of this, it's got a curve on it. This is where our nipple for our airbag comes out. And don't get excited because I said nipple. These are our adjustment screws, so you can run the like 26s or 2200s and 26s, whatever that is. But it's just adjustment screws. These are our bolt holes, okay? So this goes up in here like so. And what we'll do is we'll clamp that, we'll take it, we'll drill it out in these holes back here where it is, and we've got our bag mount. So this is where our top of our bag goes here. Remember, we had our A-arm here, and the bucket goes there. So that's that piece, okay? Oh, for some reason, man, my hips have been killing me. All right, our lower control arm, it took me a whole 20 minutes to get this out. There's our lower control arm. Give me just a second. I'm gonna set you guys here, and then I'm gonna grab another part and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing, okay? Give me just a second. Ain't going anywhere, I'm right here. So hold your horses. Okay. That big old mamma jamma. When I made this table, I made it small so I could cart it around, but it gets pretty small pretty quick. That other one's big. It's 3 foot by 6 foot. All right, so this is our lower control arm. This is where our old bump stop was. Remember, we cut that off there. So what we've got to do is, if you're looking at the bottom, that ball joint come right out. It was destroyed. So if you're looking at the bottom of this, you see this big old pocket, right? We're going to get that pocket out of there. In essence, what we want to do is get this to set down in there, because this has our new bag mount in there. This big old hole right there, that's our bag mount, okay? So we're going to set this here. We come 1 inch from the shock mount, 1 inch from this other lip, and we come 1 inch from this back. So right in there is where this is going to go. So I'm going to trace around this. I got to clean everything up first. I'm going to trace around this, get the wizard scissors, cut out a hole. We're going to drop this pocket in there to where it's sitting level, like so. So this front is going to be sticking up just a bit, or going down just a bit, and the back is going to be coming up. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, I'll catch up with you guys and we'll follow along as this goes, but there's no need in watching me clean this. So I'll catch up with you guys here in just a few. All right, guys, let's take a look at this. That didn't take long at all. Like literally 20, 25 minutes tops. And that's cleaning it. So this is all set up now, okay? This comes in and out. It's a relatively tight fit. There are some gaps in it. I'll flip it up and show you. I've got a little gap down in here and a little gap right in there. So on the next one, I know when it takes to dip down, curve it in pretty good. But this right here is nice and tight. That right there is nice and tight. It's just these little pouches that I made a little wide. So when we do this, if you're thinking about this logically, I want this to be as low as possible. I'd like to have like maybe an 1/8 inch lip sitting up here, because I can put something in here to make it higher if it sits too low, but I can't lower it, if that makes any sense. So also there's drain holes in here. You want to pay attention to these drain holes. So you can either have it front to back, side to side. I didn't set it in there any particular way. As a matter of fact, I need to knock it out and I'll show you that it's a pretty snug fit. But that's what we want. We don't want it to just be flopping around in there. And it's pretty snug. Did I mention it's snug? There we go. So we're looking at this. That's it right there. Nice and clean. The circumference is about the same as that. The radius looks nice. So it's all cleaned up around here. I'll clean this up a little more because we're gonna have to burn it in. I've got the back cleaned up really well. But that's it, guys. So that's putting a pocket in your lower control arm, okay? So I think when I do this, see these holes in here, okay? I'm gonna put one to the front, one to the back, and then we got our side-to-side ones. Just like that, she sits right down in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get some shims and shim this up. To see, this is sitting flat right there, okay? I'm gonna shim this up to where we have maybe, I'm gonna say like 3/16 of an inch, maybe a 1/4 inch, so I need to get it up about a 1/4. Then I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in. Once it's tacked in, I can go ahead and bag it. I'm gonna put a hot tack on it. I'm not gonna weld it on until we get our bags on there and I know that everything is cohesive. So, other than welding, That's what it entails to put a pocket in your lower control arm. Man, I can't even tell if this thing is on. Oh, well, I guess that would be a good reason. What's up, guys? So, every time I get to talking, these dogs want to come in. Hi, Ditcher. Man, woo woo. We're making progress, guys. Hi, Ditcher. Why don't you go play? Lower control arm on this side's burned in. It's sitting over there. Did some searching last night. Apparently, I'm in the right spot. The bags I have aren't that big, so that's why they make them so big, the pocket itself. Upper control arm on, ball joint on. Nothing's tightened up, but it's sitting here. And it is starting to look pretty good. Got these holes drilled. I still need to get one in the back. I got to clean up my mess because I made a huge mess yesterday. But it only took like altogether maybe an hour and a half to get everything off and done. So I got everything in the paint booth right now. The lower control arm was cooling off. So in the meantime, I'm going, let me take this. Why am I even wearing this still? So in the meantime, let's see. New videos uploaded on the C10. I was able to actually make a long video. I didn't know that the edit size was going to dictate the frame size. So there's that. I'm getting there. Anyway, so today it just stopped sprinkling over here. So today's a nice, cool, rainy day. Yes, there's two things that make me feel better. Cool weather and food. So I'm doing good today. So I'm going to go ahead and get this upper control arm bent back. I've already wire brushed all this. I'm going to go ahead and get it painted. I got to pull this back off and attach a bag to it. Folks, we're getting to a point where I still didn't get the rear things. You see how I'm everywhere? I got to attach a bag to this. I did reach out to a buddy of mine, Timmy Watson. I'm going to see if he can come by. There's not much room. This is something I've never done. I don't know the best way to route it. And I'm humble enough to know that I'm not an expert. He was building cool shit whenever I was drinking. So that's been 22 years, and I mean building cool stuff. And he's bagged, I don't know how many vehicles. I know of, I think, 3 or 4, but he builds his own chassis, which is, he's good. He's real good. So let's talk about that. Got to pull this back off, get a bag mounted on that. That's burned in. I'm just going to paint that. Got the lower ball joint in that. All new rubbers and whatnot on it. The backing plate is rose gold because I have it and I think it's going to look awesome. So rose gold, that's going like a graphite color. The control arm on the bottom is going like a graphite color. I was going to do it all the same, but I don't want to run into town and get more paint, and I've got oodles and oodles of paint. I might do it black, we'll see. I've got enough black, at least that way it would match the upper. This is kind of a hammered finish, and I have a hammered finish black in there, so yeah, I'll probably do that. But anyway, got the seals for that, got bearings. We're going to be putting this side together here shortly, guys. So I'll bring you back into that. The video yesterday just cut me off. Those batteries don't last at all. And apparently the heat does something to the cameras. I never thought of that, and a buddy of mine mentioned it to me. You're having a lot of camera trouble because of the heat. Anyway, we're getting this party started. I just wanted to check in with an update, and that's it. All right, time for a quick update before my battery dies. We've got the lower plate on there. We've got the new control arm on there, the new ball joint. We've got the bucket put in one and the new lower ball joint. I've matched my ball joints up and they do fit the lowering spindle. So about 2.5 hours, we've got one side put together. not complete, but put together to where tomorrow I can put a bag on that, bolt a bag onto that, and so I'll be the first one to tell you that I've never done this before, and I don't. Seems like I should have a lot more hardware. Anyhow, they send you a thread locker. Air slam it does. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on 2 bags so it has time to dry. I'd assume you don't need too much. But it don't seem like there's a lot of fittings here. Comparatively, I guess. How did that get stuck? There we go. Okay. So, we do have one of our air valves. And I'm assuming that all these little ones go into there. Now, here's the deal. We have 8 valves. So, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 of these little guys. We have 4. Can y'all see that? We have 4 of these little. One for the 3/8 line and a little filler valve, but I'm not. Seems like we should have more hardware than that. So I'm gonna come over here and we're gonna take a look at this. So female, male to male. Unless, let me think about this for a second. I think I get it. Let me grab another air valve. I have the directions on my phone, so it'd be easy enough to find out, but I think I've got an idea here, because if 2 of those are 3/8 MPT, and there's 4 of those, I bet one of those goes in between each valve. One of these. If there's 4 of these, there's 8 valves, 2 male sides. I bet some point in some way air is going this way, so that would be an inlet. And I'll have to mess with all this. That don't seem quite right. And if one of those goes in, that's going to let air into one, escape out the other, and out the other. So in, I've got that on the outside, so the in would be here. Like so, air in. I don't know. Have mercy. But I bet I figure it out. So anyhow, I'm just tinkering with this till that stuff dries. Let me get the rest of the air valves. And in true fashion, I'll do it wrong twice before I do it right once. Well, usually 3 times. I'll do it wrong 3 times. So let's just stick with that, because that's just how I do shit. It's nice having all new shit. That's kind of one of the deals, is like, I found some that like people were selling, you know, $800, $1,000. I'm like, man, when I reached out to these guys, they're like you might as well just do it new and spend a couple extra $100 more and have your warranty and get all new parts. And I think, yeah, you know what? There's certain things that, like I said at the beginning of this, there's certain things that I'm going to spend the money on. And this was one of them. Can you guys even see? Yeah, y'all can kind of see what I'm doing here. Let's move back a little. Let's move this up. Let's get this straight. There we go. There we go. So we know that air is coming in. So I'm going to say that the one with the air coming in gets the nipple, because that would be coming straight from our tank, so that's going to let everything in. I don't know, I could be wrong. Jimmy's going to be coming by today or tomorrow, so he'll let me know. I'm probably doing this all wrong, but I'm not gluing anything up right now. I'm just trying to figure some shit out and get stuff out of the boxes off the shelves and sitting here so that I can start preparing my thought process, my tiny little peanut brain. Let me see if I can get that down a little more, make it spin on there a little easier. And this is an in. And I don't even know that this is right, guys. It probably isn't. I don't know how I got that one on there and how it was set up. These are just like the valves we had when I was at Coca-Cola, other than these are big. I think we're heading in the right direction, ladies. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut you off. There's no reason to watch all of this. All right, guys, it might be a little hard to hear. It's raining good. So, brakes are on, everything's back together, guys. I'm gonna put the wheel back on this side. Actually, I'm not, because I gotta finish that tomorrow. I might even start on that tonight. I might even do that right now. Let's just put it that way. I've got to get that cut out and pieced in before I tear into this side. Actually, I would need to put it down all the way with these new control arm, or this new upper on there, and see if it does actually move everything up an inch. Anyhow, I may just wait off on that. So when I say on that, I'm talking about finish cutting that out where the lines are. And then I can just build a whole thing for that. But anyhow, it's all back together, and man, it went together well. So I haven't greased anything. I got to grease and check cotter pins just to make sure we're good. Get a smaller shock, but it's mounted up in there. The bag's in there. It appears to have plenty of room right now. So we're gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this side apart. I'm gonna put a jack stand into this corner though, since I'm not gonna put the tire back on. But just an update. Check with you guys in a bit. Well, all the little kids are coming to my door selling chocolate. I already bought like 13 bars from one kid, so I'm gonna have to skip it. Let me show you guys this. Everything is on. Look at this upper ball joint. Isn't that so much better than the other one? So here's where we're at. We're sitting at the bottom of the jack just like we usually were, but we ain't even touching that. So we've got the 2.5-inch spindles on there, and my jack is stuck under there. So I'm gonna have to get some bricks or something to get that out. Now, with that being said, the bag, we still got 2 inches right there. So this is gonna be damn near sitting on the ground. The front cross member is. I haven't put the fender on there yet, but I would assume that we're gonna be just above them lug nuts, which is dope. So anyhow, the front's done. It's got bags in it, and they centered so nice. Look down in here, there's nothing touching. Let me see if I can get it around there. See how there's room around that whole bag? Those aren't fun, but it's one of those deals. Take your time. Also, I got a hold of air slam it. Let me walk you through some of this stuff over here. I got a hold of air slam it, and they didn't send me the deals to plug into my tank right here. They got a name for them. So I went ahead and just upgraded and got some that are 90s, like the push on, those thread in male in the 90s, so it's 1/2 inch to a 3/8 line. So it's a really fast air up and compress. So that's gonna be a neat deal. So I got those. I got 2 T's with Schrader valves on them so that I can put one set on the back, one on the front, so that I can air this up and let this down off shop air. That's what these hoses are for. So like literally whenever I did this, it's done. It's greased up, cinched down, torqued down. I shouldn't have to get back in there other than to take the tire off and get more clearance out of this. Even with that being down, look at that. So much better. Now, we still have 2 inches that it can go down. So keep in mind, this is setting where it used to. Now, with those being up all the way, we still have a couple of inches that we can go down. That just seems so crazy to me. So that's part one. Part two, Alex's parts came in today. So it's sitting there. Now, it doesn't get much closer. It does fit on the shackle. And I have to have that rear end centered. That means I'm going to have to slide this forward. Which I wish I'd have thought about that because I wouldn't have drilled those extra 2 holes. Not that it's a big deal, but it's still one of those deals that just, it's more work. So, and all those are torqued down. So I'm going to have to pull all those off, make sure that my rear end's still centered, get the spring perches off, slide that forward, tack that up, and then I'm just going to C-clamp that and run it through the motion to make sure that we're good. While all that's going, put that back on, slide that back another inch or 2, and check it out. So front's done though. Other than the front firewall, getting those cut out where we have a bit more clearance and smoothing over the firewall. So that feels good. So if we're looking at it, we got it spagged, plated, notched, upper control arms, new ball joints on both. Tie rod ends were in fine shape. So, man, we're getting there. Anyhow, I'm going to go inside and eat dinner. The kids with all the candy bars are walking up and down the street, so I figured I better come out here instead of spending all my money on candy. Because those chocolate-covered almonds, man, Moses sandals, they're good. So, that's it for now. Now, at some point in time, I'm just going to have to admit it. Guys, I'm the coolest kid on the block right now. The air ride, well, it's on shop air, but it's done. So I'll show you that in a minute. However, we have a visitor, and the dogs will not stop. Let me show you what we got here. Well, you can't see him because of the light. Let me get over here a little bit. Well, where the hell is he? Huh, he's right there. Well, shit, you still can't see him. We got us a dove in here. Actually, I don't think it's a dove. Yeah, it might be. Who knows? But anyway, we got a bird living in the shop right now. And these two will not stop. They've been at this all day. They have a racetrack here. So it's half drag race, half sprint car, half circle track. Kind of a cool deal. So let me turn you around and show you what we've got going on. So drop spindles are on. All that's done. And right now, we're 1.5 inches off the ground. Our bags are compressed, not rubbing any of the sides, which is awesome. That's not in a big bind or upper ball joint. These are just sitting there. That's the fuel lines that are coming from the back. Guys, have mercy. This all cleaned up. Everything greased up. Rod ends. Man. Oh, this is touching too. I'm gonna have to remove these wipers and move that fuse block up. The bulkhead that goes through the firewall. But you can still see where it's touching the fenders. The tires are touching the firewall. So I still haven't trimmed those out. So it is what it is. But that's another day. That's a whole nother video there. And I haven't put the fender on, but I'd be willing to bet you our fender's 1 inch or 2 above that center cap. On the back, however, we're about 3¼ inches in the back and like 3 3/4 in the front. So I really want to get that 1/2 inch out of the firewall so that it lays out flat. Now, with that being said, I don't have the bed on here. However, if that is 3¼ inches, 3½ inches right in there, we should be pretty similar in the back of the bed, which would put, move Dixie, baby, which would put the center of the fender well just above the center cap. So this thing is gonna look dope. Just sitting here looking at them like, wow, what a transformation. This thing is crazy cool. So anyhow, the kit's on, everything's cinched up, bolted up. I haven't ran it long enough up and down to do a bolt check, but I do know that there's no binding, there's no popping, everything is super smooth. The pinion angle doesn't change whatsoever. Now, you see how close the axle tube is to the front of the C-notch. It pulls it in as that's going down, because if you're thinking about it and that's sitting at whatever degree it is, 27, 33 degrees, whatever it is, as that axle tube gets closer, that gets closer to that. Which I knew, and I didn't think that I would even be that close to the top. So eventually it's going to bump itself out, which I am fine with. If I needed to put bumps in there, I can do that as well. But I think this is going to be extremely close to what I was going for, because I don't want to drag it, and so, I mean, if we're looking at it, we're close. So I'm going to say 3/8 of an inch in between the axle tube and that. Same thing over here. We only have 1.5 inches in between our back bag and our wheel, which Alex asked me on that, are you going to run big wheels? And I said, yeah. He said, how wide? I said, I don't know. Now, if we're looking at this one, there's like 1/4 inch difference. So I'm going to remeasure just to make sure that I got that centered. The brackets are just tacked in. That's why there's still a bunch of raw steel. They're not burned in. And the old brake line I just put on there so that I have some brakes. So I'll have to order a tool. I've never bent a bunch of brake line. I've done little pieces and stuff. But all in all, guys, it sits down really well. Now, with the pinion angle, because it was at 4 on the transmission in the cab and pointing down. I have this at 4, but it's pointing up. And I don't think that's gonna work. So what I'm gonna have to do is jack the transmission up to maybe 0. Or I'm gonna have to get the transmission up and get this down just a scotch. I'm gonna have to finesse this. And this is something we knew about. Because if we did that drive shaft right there, where it's at, it's gonna be hitting in the back of the cab back here. So that's not gonna work. With it being, I think it's at 5. Give me just a second. This is going to be kind of a long walkthrough video, but this is something that probably needs to be said and seen. So, 6. I'm good with like 3, maybe 0. I'm gonna have to cut that and turn that. I don't want that up that high. And you can kind of see it's leaning back. Like if you're looking at it like this, I'm not going to be okay with that. So I might I'm not going to do it today. I got to get cleaned up and get to a football game this Friday. I might go ahead and clock this and have the transmission mount raised. You know what I mean? I've got to do something. That's not going to fly. And if anything, I'd rather have it go in the negative way and the transmission on the positive way, because we can do that. And if I remember, I mean, if you're looking at the intake, it's sitting way down. So I know that I can bring that up and bring that drive shaft, the pinion down. So that's going to be something we're going to have to work with. I may even have to notch out that cross member. I mean, there's going to be some work going on here. However, we knew that when we started. I mean, that's why you don't just do this in a weekend. This is something that has to be thought out. Check him out there just waiting on that bird. He's just sitting up there. He's looking at me. I can see him, but y'all can't see him. He's right there. See his little head? And what's crazy is I opened the doors up all the way this morning so he'd have a chance to fly out. I left and came back and left the doors open. Still here. Crazy bird. Anyhow, I just wanted to run you guys through this, man. I'm so stoked about this. Give me just a second. I'm going to put you guys up on the tripod and put some air in here and let it down. This thing is awesome. Give me just a sec. I'm going to get everything set up on a different tripod and camera. Okay, this is the part that's even cooler. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yeah, it's blinking. Okay? Hold your horses. And of course, when it's on a solenoid, it's fast. Notice how there's no creaking, no popping, no grinding. Job well done. And I'm sure you guys already know how happy this makes me. That was a lot of work. However, that's something we talked about and we knew when we started this, correct? This is what you came to see, old son. This one has a leak in it somewhere. It leaks down pretty fast. Y'all ready for this? If I wanted it to go down lower than this, I just raise this bag mount on the back. Because a bag mount is what's a solid surface that's pinching the frame, or not pinching the frame, but mounted to the frame that bottoms out on the bag. So if I was to raise that up, I'd get even lower. But I want it where it's all the way aired down and it's sitting level, and I'm okay with a couple of inches. First off, you know, I said I want 1/2 inch on the frame, and I don't think that's feasible knowing the frame tucks up in here, but this cross member, we're there. It's low. I mean, we're talking 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Now I can let this sit and come back out and it sits even lower, but I don't want to gouge into the tires and that sort of thing. But guys, that's incredible. It's done. Well, no, it's not done. It's on shop air. Everything is bolted down, cinched down, torqued down. I'm gonna reset that pinion angle because I don't like that with where it sits, which is an easy deal to do. Just cut those tabs, and we knew that. That's something that you're gonna have to mess with. I may even go ahead and call my drive shaft guy and see if we can get a low profile 2-piece, kind of what our options are. I don't want a 2-piece, but sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do to get what you want to get. So, with that being said, guys, yee, bam, that's done. That's going to be the end of this little segment of videos. You know, the little airbag setup. I lost some videos in there where I was putting the 4-link on. Really, it's a bolt-on deal. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I did have to move the cantilever set back to the back set of bolts, which is already pre-drilled in there. There's 2 sets. The front set, you just have to drill out 2 extra holes, so it wasn't a big deal. But if you're doing this and you're going off that, you need to put it on the far back bumper most, closest to the bumper mount holes, set of bolts for that. And this is the Alex V Metalworks cantilever set, C-notch set, the 4-link set, and I have all the Watts link stuff. All the stuff is here. He's real good about shipping stuff out. Just call him and bam, it's here a day or 2. So that's all done, guys. On shop air, we'll get that pinion thing worked out. We'll get the firewalls done. Gotta start making the back brace for the back, figure out compressor mount, tank mount, wiring solutions. Got to get a brake line back through the frame. I mean, there's still a lot of work ahead of us. This was hurdle number 1, and that's the big one. Getting the airbags on, getting them working. Like I said, there's a small leak. I'll figure that out. But other than that, man, I appreciate you riding with me. And if you found value in this, or if you want to follow along, like and subscribe. There's a little notification button there on the thing. I know a lot of you guys don't have YouTube accounts. I've had people message me, quite a few, and then even when I run into people, they're like, man, I don't subscribe because I don't have a YouTube account. And I'm like, oh, I get it, man. I mean, if you just want to follow it, then that's cool. I'm not doing this for subscribers, but I am doing this for subscribers. You know what I mean? The more subscribers, 3 or 4 years down the road, if I can get a little change out of doing this and get some cool tools and stuff, and that's what I'm going to do. Man, Puppy's not going to leave that bird alone. That poor thing. I don't know why I hadn't left yet. But anyway, that's a squirrel. I always get sidetracked. You guys are figuring that stuff out by now. But cheers. Appreciate you riding, man. That's what's up. We're on shop air. Dig it. Till next time. Peace. Hey, I didn't know you were still watching. Well, that's the end of this video. If you feel like you need to go get started on your chores and take care of some stuff, right now would be a good time to do it. I just want to say thank you for viewing. If you found that you liked it, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to follow the build, subscribe. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and cut out. I suggest you do the same. Cheers, and thanks for viewing. This is Potter County Patina.